Okay, welcome everyone. We are going to cover InfoSparks and how to look at the marketplace in a specific area of our local market and try to understand what maybe you need to consider as you're looking at listings and doing some research. So we're going to do an example tonight. If you are on the MLS, you may want to kind of follow along or try to do a sample yourself as we go through it together. But hopefully today you'll take away a few tips and tricks on how to look at the data a bit more than what you have in the past. Some of you, it might be review. If you've taken some of my listing classes, we have covered this, but it's always good to put it in practice and to understand it. So we'll end the call at about 6 o'clock for those of you who are new to our conference call series. And if you have any questions along the way, you're welcome to send me an email directly, Rochelle@bestchoicerealtywa.com, or you can send me a text after the call if there's a specific question or something I should have covered that you needed help with. So we'll get started here. The first thing to understand is there are other types of products that are out there where other third-party vendors, for the most part, will sell you or try to sell you different types of market reports. The only one that I like before we get started in the MLS reports is the neighborhood demographic report that you can get from any title company in Washington. It's $1. They call it the NAR report. They call it the neighborhood report. There's many different labels. Basically, it is the same type of report. It's a one-pager, and they can break it down specific to the address, specific to a location, an area, a city, and they can do the work for you for $1. If you'd like to have your title company do the work for you, all you have to do is make a phone call and contact the customer service department, and they'll go ahead and provide that report to you for the $1. Some of the agents I know have included that. They have their database, and they've sent their database to their trusted title rep. And what the title rep will then do is provide a $1 report for each individual home. So say I had a home in Seattle, and then my mother-in-law had a home in Federal Way, and my brother-in-law had another home in Auburn. I could essentially send them on an annual basis a breakdown or a very good market report using the title company resource. And for $1, they'll compile all the data on a one-pager. That's one way you can do this. The other way is to manually do it yourself, which the MLS has allowed you to do. The only thing it doesn't really show you is demographics, and the MLS is in talks right now to find other tools that they can incorporate to add value, so they maybe you'll get demographics in the coming year in 2019 or 2020. So for now, they have included in the last year, they have provided us with a report. It's easier to use than it was in the past. You would basically be in the home in the MLS, and you would see, obviously you could search, go to Matrix. A lot of people do that. But if you go to stats right here, there's InfoSparks and market reports. So if I wanted to do a quick, market report, say I wanted to look at where I ranked, my ranking report. Maybe I'm a top producer and I want to see how I ranked, or how a broker I'm negotiating with ranks. As long as you have their lag number, you can get all of that information right here under stats, under market reports, and then you would go to ranking reports. And so you can go in and you can see, put a start date and end date. You can look for individual agents or an office. And you can display up to 100, 200. If you feel like you're really far down on the list, you may want to, go 3,000. And you could sort by volume or by price point. You can do a lot of different searches here. And I could just put in my lag number, so you can see if I've done some sales. I have done a few this year. Whoops. We'll take here. There we go. And then I can search, if anything, right now it will search everything that Rochelle Wilhite has done in the entire MLS. So I can just click generate a report. So I can find out essentially who I'm negotiating with before I even start the negotiations. This may help you if you're a buyer's agent too, and knowing how how educated or experienced that other broker would be. So it shows I've done a total of 10 sales in the ranking report, 5.5 listings, 4.5 solds, and then shows me my volume and my average price point and my market share for this particular area. Okay, so that's one way you can look to see how agents ranked or companies ranked. If you are doing some statistical information like you want to share, you know, I'm in the top 10 or the top 20 of, say, Federal Way. I could go in and I could see where I'm located. Let's just do Gig Harbor, for example. I haven't done anything in Gig Harbor, but if I search for, let's do Federal Way or Milton, Edgewood. Let's do Edgewood. And let's search office. And we can see, limit that this year, and I can generate, let's look only at residential single family homes in Edgewood. I could generate a report and I could see all of the top offices in this area of Edgewood and who I am competing with. So Lennar has a pretty good market share in Edgewood. They have a lot of new construction. John L. Scott also is a site agent for a lot of homes in the Edgewood area. So you can see Best Choice Realty is ranked 31. So we're not down far on the list, but there's a lot of reasons why somebody would be here in the top. Again, don't obsess about this, but it is a good report. If you're going in, you're competing with another agent for the listing, you got to know who you're competing with and how you can tailor your presentation amongst the people if you're up against multiple agents for an opportunity. So enough with that. I was going to show you the ranking report. The other thing I was going to show you on the home is when you are searching for, you want to see specifically what other homes other agents have done, you can search for anything that they've taken as far as a listing, maybe in the last 100 days. Residential, say I'm like up against another listing in Edgewood and I want to see what type of listing agents, say I had another lag number, 390402. And then they have not sold anything. It said 0 matches. So if that was my lag number, it shows 0 matches. If I have any listings, see I have one listing right now. There's the one in Tula Lake Road where I am currently a co-lister with Leah. So that would come up. So you can search that way too by the lag numbers. If you know the lag number of the person you are negotiating with, or maybe you're up against another person for the listing, or you know that they've sold a listing and recently, you can do a search with their lag number by just putting, here in the last 365 days, I can kind of verify whether they did do a sale in that neighborhood. And you can drill down using matrix. So there's a lot of things you can do with just the matrix, but I want to cover InfoSparks specifically because a lot of you are not utilizing that tool, and it's very, very helpful to incorporate some of those sheets that InfoSparks can spit out very quickly. And you don't have to rely on the title company to give you the information that you need. Perhaps if you're going to go door knocking, or you're going to go send out a mail out to your clients, you don't have to. You could save yourself money. Hey, I might have even saved you $100 if you're going to do 100 client letters, and you're going to include a copy of the market stats along with maybe their closing statements. If you had 100 sales in the last 12 months, you could incorporate InfoSparks by printing out individual and save yourself $1 on all of these. So let's look at InfoSparks. When you go to stats and you go click on InfoSparks, it will pull up a grid that looks kind of like this right here. And what's nice about this is you can search multiple areas. They give you like 4 or 5 different areas you can compare. So like I said in my email earlier, sometimes the media portrays something that's not really true or correct. And I'm going to share with you an example of an area where the market has switched gears, but maybe not like the media is portraying. So let's look at the one. I have an example we can go over. Charlene Little is one of our brokers. I helped her this morning re-input. Her listing has been live on the market for over 100 days. She is getting a lot of interest, but her expiration date happened just yesterday. And so what we had to do is we had to get a new listing agreement and re-input the listing, which was not difficult to do since she already had it data entered from before, and now it's back to active. So we want to share with the seller what's going on in the marketplace. Maybe we want to discuss with the seller, maybe reducing the price. Maybe we want to stay firm. Maybe we want to just give them some data so that they know that we're watching the marketplace. Whatever the reason may be, we have the information right here in the stats, in the InfoSparks. So I'm just going to quickly write down the zip code, because that's what I'll need for InfoSparks. My local knowledge knows that Des Moines, and this is a waterfront home or view property, and this is 98198. There are also view properties in 98023 and also in 98422. I know the area well. So you'll want to also know your marketplace or know your zip codes. If something kind of, say a Des Moines property is also another property a buyer would look at in Federal Way. So I want to know those other zip codes and compare. I also want to take note of the price point, because if you're doing a good price segmentation with your market knowledge, you're going to want to segment your price points. Obviously, a fast-moving market like, say, under 300,000 is not the same marketplace like $1 million property. They're two different segments of the marketplace based on price. So I'll want to segment my InfoSparks accordingly, keeping that in mind. So I can look at the entire MLS, and you can see it with the entire MLS, you can see the trend line over a period of 3 years. If I want to go back more years, I'll change this. Maybe I want to go back 10 years. It's crunching the numbers, and you can see back in 2008, the entire MLS, that's the median price point. Down below is your finder. So you can see the finder right here. It's looking at median sales price. If I want to change my sales price, and maybe I want to look at something different, like say supply or months of supply, all I have to do, looking at the entire MLS, is change this. So when you see these articles that come out and you're thinking, is the months of supply, is it rising dramatically? It actually is not in the entire MLS. It's gone up slightly from 2.7, but it's actually just kind of been staying right around the 2.7, 2.8. Notice this is encompassing all of the counties that we service. Now, if we drill down, which is what we're going to do, we're going to look at an area and say I want to compare the entire MLS to Des Moines. Okay, so I select Des Moines. Now, the other line that I'm looking at here is the Des Moines line. Okay, so the green line is Des Moines and the black line is the entire MLS. Notice that it has gone up at a bit more of a rapid place in Des Moines than the entire MLS. So I may want to add another area, and let's drill down even farther by adding the specific zip code into that, and then specifying some more criteria. So that's going to be the 98198 zip code. Notice it follows the green line pretty closely, so it's not much different. But let's also compare Federal Way. Like I said, Des Moines and the 98023 is the closest zip code to the city of Des Moines. So I'll go ahead and include that zip code so we can compare and crunch the numbers there. Notice the purple line is actually kept more stable when it comes to months of supply. 98023 only has 1.8 months of supply versus 98198, which is 2.3. Now, if you want to write a little cheat sheet down for yourself when it comes to residential properties, when it comes to months of supply or supply and demand, a lot of very savvy buyers and sellers want to ask you, Rochelle, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? And in residential sales, what you can tell them is anything under 2 months is a seller's market. Anything above 4 months is a buyer's market. So what we're encountering in all of these areas, even in the entire MLS, is we're noticing a balanced market, one where we have more room for negotiation. But it is not a buyer's market per se. We are still seeing multiple offers. Again, the graphs will paint the picture. You can say or you can talk all day long, but if you actually put this onto a graph and you share this with your clients, they'll actually understand and be able to understand what you're trying to get them to do. With this slight tick upwards, maybe that warrants adjusting the price, or maybe not, because it's still staying around that 2-month mark, or the 2 month of supply. Let's add some, because like I said, we should be segmenting at this point in time. We've got our 4 or 5 different points that we want to compare. We want to compare the MLS. Maybe we said, we don't care about the whole MLS. We are in a very, maybe it's the east side, maybe we're in Bellevue or Kirkland, and we really want to isolate that particular marketplace. We don't want to compare, say, Marysville, no offense to Marysville, to Bellevue. They're completely different marketplaces. Or Olympia to Tacoma, also very different marketplaces. So let's go ahead and eliminate. All you have to do to eliminate is click the X, and that will eliminate from your graph. Very easy to do. Maybe I want to get tighter on my years, and I only want to go back 5 years. Now I can see the graph a little bit better. So you can manipulate it right here on the right, and you can manipulate your areas on the line graph right up here. But like I said, we want to segment the marketplace by price point, because we're helping Charlene determine, is she off base? We have price ranges that they automatically selected for us, which you could use, or we could do a custom, which is what I'm going to show you how to do. We could do a custom price range. So on my top line, I'm going to go ahead and select, let's go with 800 and above, 800 plus, and then we could leave all, I mean, these are fine as far as this goes to 800. I could put my own like price ranges in here, 300 to 500, and then anything under 300. Those would be my price segments in a custom range. And you have to, get that all set up correctly. See how it's set up? So anything under 3, that one's not done right. I have to put a 0 in there, and I have to put 300. It's 299. It should take. Let's do that. Try it one more time. Oh, I'm having difficulty with that one. That guy doesn't want to go. Maybe it's because I didn't put 499, 399, 299, 0. It's going to be fussy with me. All right, let's try it one more time. 300 to 500, 500 to 800, and the one I'm most interested in is this guy right here, over 800,000. Jeez, didn't do it. Leave starter and blank to represent positive or negative values. Custom range. Okay, that one did it. 8. Let's do 1 million to above. There we go. Okay, that worked. All right, then we'll add another area. 98198. There's a little arrow right here which always trips people up. You can push the arrow and then type in the zip code 98198, and then that took. There's my 2 lines, and then we're going to also compare 98023. And you could do by area number as well. That might have been easier with what I was trying to accomplish today. And then I can, my custom field, I have to adjust that. Let's go 900 or more. My goodness, 900. Okay. All right, so it did that, saved on mine. So I can select this one. Now it's only looking at anything 900,000 or more. So I can compare what's going on in that upper end market, and comparing the MLS to the Des Moines area and also to the Federal Way along the waterfront. Now I have all these other things here in this section, which I don't want to compare condos or vacant land, so I can select residential only, which will help us get a much firmer idea of the graph. And then this particular home, I'm going to leave the all bedrooms because I don't want, I'm looking for view properties, and I don't have to worry about acreage. Leave all sides. Maybe you have acreage, and it's important to compare acreage to other acreage markets. Don't want to compare something that has 3 acres or more to something that's like built on a cookie cutter lot. you want something that's comparable when you're looking at your market report down below. Same thing on style code. Also want to compare all style codes unless you're specifically dealing with a rambler or a split entry where you may want to do some adjustments and only compare those types of sales. And then the square footage, knowing the square footage is 3190 square feet, I could go ahead and include anything 2,500 or more, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So it's really going to crunch the numbers for anything that's 2,500 square feet or more. These little arrows right here kind of give you more options. So you kind of scroll over here, and it's only waterfront, exclude waterfront. Mine is a view home. It's not a waterfront, but that's interesting. If you did have something on the water, you would want to utilize the only waterfront feature to compare those types of things. Once I've got my entire MLS, I've got, which I can eliminate. I only want to look at 98198 and 98023. And you can notice that 98198, look at how it's gone down in 10%, and the median sales price, anything 900,000 or more with the criteria I put above, and 98023 is fared actually better. So I don't know the reason for that. That might be the types of properties. It could be the school district. It could be maybe they had a major flood, that happened one time around the Redondo area, which affected the home values. I don't know why it's down 10% for this particular, see how it went down right here, but that's what 2018. But you can notice the trends between the two zip codes, or you can add another area and you can compare. But what's interesting is 98198 is $1 million. That's the median price point, and we're just right at the median price point. I believe our listing price is $1,095,000. So if we were to drop the price, that might be something we do, is we get closer to the median or get our seller on board with adjusting or negotiating, knowing that number. The other thing that I like to use is I like to use percent of list price with sellers. This little tag right here will show you, based on those two zip codes, it's looking to me like here's in that price range. Again, we're looking at 900,000 or above with 2,500 square feet or more. 98198 looking to be 93.2%. So are they getting full price? No, not in that price point. Are they getting close? They're getting close. There's room for negotiation. So you may want to share this with your seller. And when you look at months of supply, you can see this one right here. Months of supply, let's look and see, is this a seller's market or a buyer's market? I told you that back, in the day, 2 months, under 2 months in a residential marketplace would be a seller's market. Over 4 months would be a buyer's market, where the buyers have more room for negotiation. So if we look right now, we are in a balanced market for both 98198 and 98023 because we are in that range of 2 to 4. But notice how unique this is. It's very interesting to me that one zip code is different than the other zip code, but they follow some sort of alignment over the last 3 years. We can go back and look at 5 years and see how that fares. So you can get a lot of information that might be helpful to your seller or your analytic you're working with. Days on market also is very important to sellers. They're like, are we in line? We've been on the market for 150 days. Should we stay the course? And that's actually quite common. Average days on market when things are priced right. Right now in the 98023 as of October would be 58 days versus 98023, 176 days. November, it looks like 51 days for Des Moines, and then also, 168 days for Federal Way around the Redondo area. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So yes, we're going to be on the market. This is normal. If we're not getting, we're getting a lot of showings, we're not getting any offers as of yet. I know there's somebody very seriously thinking about this one. So we're not well out of the range when we priced it at 1 million, I believe 1,095,000. But you can see based on some of these graphs and reports, maybe there is some adjustment necessary to spark the interest again or give it a boost. And this would be the way to show the seller some of the 3 things. I'd probably show the seller median sales price on this one, probably show the months of supply, the percent of the list price, and possibly days on market. Those would be the 4 graphs that I would share with the seller. Now you can share this with the seller right here. You can share with them in a PDF, which is what I would do if I was going on a listing appointment, or you can embed it into an email. You could, this would be in your blog or a website that you're maybe doing, or if you want a CSV and you want to manipulate the data, if you're really a nerd, you could do a CSV file and grab the raw data and manipulate it. For me, I'm like quick get in, get out type of thing. So static, I would always give me a live. Static would be exactly what you're seeing now, but you can't do a live. I guess you can do a live right now in PDF and share, and that's your URL, and you can download or PDF it. Or static, again, we're up in the share button. I could static right here, share PDF, download, view PDF, and it puts it into a nice, easy to print graph. It has my name, my office number, and the Northwest MLS. So it's data that's coming directly from the MLS. And we can talk to these points. Down below here, it talks about the data points that I used. It puts that on the bottom of your graph. So if you've forgotten, I can't remember what I'm comparing, and you're right there, put on the spot with the seller, just look down here at the bottom, and it's each data point is 12 months of activity. So it puts it nicely on the graph for you. So that's what the InfoSparks can do. Like I said, you can adjust this so it's a rolling 3 months or a monthly type of snapshot. Again, you could print or you could share this however you'd like, or play with these different types of views. So there's a sales price. See how easy that was? Once I get this part put up in the top, I can manipulate the graph down below and then send it. Okay. Let's see, I'm right at 6 o'clock, and I think I got through. There also is another section where it's markets. Oh, it's FastStats right here. This little, it says FastStats. This is a nice little report that you can also do, or you can do it instead. But you can select an area right here. See the whole MLS area, the entire MLS. Really, the entire MLS is covered in these 3 areas. We do not cover all of this area, the gray area. We're pretty much Snohomish, King, Pierce, Central Puget Sound, Western Washington. We do a good job of covering that part. Starting to encroach into Chelan and Kittitas County. We've had conversations with Spokane and Clark County and Cowlitz County, but those areas also have another MLS that most brokers belong to. So for the most part, we're going to be in the Puget Sound area. So we can select the entire MLS, and we can look at specifically King County if we'd like. We can drill down into all the city area zip codes. Let's just pick on Issaquah right now. Let's see what Issaquah is doing. And it puts together a nice kind of one-page sheet that you could use for, say, a listing that you're going on, and showing 98027 in October, goes back 30 days. This is what's happening year over year. Here's the percent of change. Here's what's going on in residential. Here's what's going on in condo. And then it puts the median sales price together for Issaquah. So if you'd like to just pull it up for city and incorporate that into your listing packages, that would be a nice thing to include that gives people an understanding of what's going on in the marketplace. Let's just compare Auburn, for example, and see what 9092. Similar type of thing, October 2018 compares the median sales price, the percent to listing. Looks like last year didn't have room for negotiation in Auburn, and this year it looks like we do. Notice the percent of list price received is 98.3. It's down by 2.1%. The inventory rose by 41%. And see, months of supply is still becoming more balanced, but last year was more of an ideal seller's market to sell because it was under 2 months. Condos looks very, very favorable right now. So when you see something at the MLS, or you see an article that's written and you have a condo and it looks like in Auburn, my goodness, it actually went down. There's less inventory in Auburn in this particular zip code than there was last year. So what you're seeing multiple offers for condos in Auburn right now, where you were not seeing that last, maybe 2 or 3 years ago in Auburn. So Sometimes the media misinterprets the data based on overall Seattle, and they don't look at the specific local markets like you can do, utilizing some of the tools you have here on the MLS. So hopefully that was pretty painless for you to kind of follow along tonight. If you have any specific questions, you can send me an email or shoot me a text. Or if you need me to cover something particularly with you, like you're still having trouble with this, there is a user manual and FAQs you can click on here. You can sometimes self-teach yourself, but you got to start practicing. You got to put some of these tools into practice and see how your sellers respond to that. That's the way I've worked with my sellers, and just definitely love InfoSparks. And I do print out the FastStats when I'm putting something together or communicating some sort of message to a particular owner. It shows that I know my numbers and I know it well. So with that, I'll let you guys go. Have a great week. Enjoy. We're just in the holiday season. I know there's some downtime right now for a lot of you. That doesn't mean that you stop prospecting. If you haven't prospected in a while, now's the time to get out there, get your list, get your game ready to go so that you hit the ground running in January. This is where I do a lot of, clean out, cleansing is what I call it, talking with people. How's everything going with the family, with the kids? How are the dogs? How's the house? Did you get the updates made? Do you need some contacts? I know contractors are really, really booked right now. So I've encountered some of my past sales who are like, Rochelle, do you have a carpet cleaner? Do you have, those types of contacts are great when you connect with your buyer or your seller in that way and stay connected with your client base. So with that, I'll let you guys go. Have a wonderful week and make it a great day tonight. And we'll catch you next Monday.